Hello, testing. This is Gordon Chaffin. It is January 25, 2021. This is the January 2021 meeting of ANC 4B. This is the full commission meeting.
Gordon, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure my audio was working. Thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Brenda,
How you all doing?
hanging in there.
Good evening, Commissioner Parks and all. How are you?
Hi, you got a haircut. Oh, wow.
I
Great.
did not get a haircut. I just shaved my beard.
Oh, I'm sorry. But anyway, you look good.
See, I got the rockin' ponytail, Brenda. Thank
oh,
you.
okay. You look good.
Thank you.
Okay.
You know,
You're looking like a teenager.
Brenda, you know what? I think at some point I'm just going to switch to the Brenda haircut and then we'll look the same.
Go right ahead.
Couple of teenagers rocking it out on the Zoom. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Gordon got his mute off.
Hey, Brenda.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Evan, how are the kids doing?
Bouncing off the walls. I don't know what else to say.
I know.
They're doing okay. You know, as well as can be expected. Academically, they're doing well in school, and I'm trying to keep them from melting down completely on me. But we're holding it together, right? You know, that's all anybody can ask for these days.
Well, no, I'm in the same boat. Angel just got over a cold, gave me her cold, and has now like decided she does not want to do her book report. And I'm like, really? you don't get a say in this.
I understand one thing. They've been in the house for 10 months and they get restless just like we do. So be kind of easy, but tell her she have to do it.
I'm trying to be nice and kind, but at the same time, I'm like, we need to get this done.
I understand.
Period. So she got a reprieve today. Tomorrow, I took off work. She's gonna get this done.
Oh, she will. I know. I have my grandbaby during the day, and she's doing pretty well.
I know it's hard for everyone, during this time period. I don't even know what their brains are calculating in their heads. But the work needs to be done. Excuse me. Let me put myself on mute.
Hello.
Hey, Allison.
Hello.
I just realized my daughter changed my name on her Zoom. She must have been using my computer. Sorry about that, Gordon.
just gonna step away for 1 minute just to check on Angel, and then I'll be right back.
Okay.
Sorry, guys, I'm back.
I now have 7:00 p.m. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, I want to wish everyone Happy New Year. Hopefully your holidays was wonderful. Mine was. Glad to be in the house for a change for the holidays and not on travel. And it was quite good. My daughter cooked New Year dinner, which was very good. I truly enjoyed it, and I told her that she would have to do it every year. But anyway, since it's 7:01, we're gonna call the roll, and the meeting time started exactly 7:01 p.m. Secretary Irving, Commissioner Palmer, will you call the
Yes.
roll, please?
Thank you, Commissioner Parks. 4B01,
Present.
4B02 is present, 4B03. Commissioner Jocelyn Johnson.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
She's present. I see her on the screen.
I
Okay.
see her, but she's on mute.
That's okay. We see her.
All right. 4B04,
Present.
4B05 we do not have, 4B06,
Present.
4B07,
Present.
4B08,
Present.
and 4B09 is not here at the moment. Is Laroya on the phone or elsewhere? Commissioner Huff?
I'm not sure. I'm gonna text her now.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, there are 7 commissioners present. We have a quorum. Thank you all for coming this evening. I know it's cold outside and raining, but we're on the inside. Okay, our first instruction is our virtual meeting. I know that a lot of you we've been meeting for 10 months, I would say 9 months virtually. And you know that we have the chat where you can put questions in, and we have someone that will look after the chat and give your questions to us. You can always raise your hand. The button is located somewhere on your computer. Okay, so you can raise your hand and we will respond to you from there. And and so we're gonna start out first with, we've done the administrative items. We're gonna start out with election of officers first. Okay, election of officers. And and we have the chair, the vice chair, the secretary, and the treasurer is up for election at this time. And we all served 2 years. So in 2022, what's this, 21, 22, 23. Yes, that's when 24 basically is when we start over again because we all served 2 years. Allison, you were shaking your head.
Yeah, we served 2-year terms as commissioners, but not in these specific offices, right?
No, the Pacific office is 1 year.
Okay.
Okay, so we can elect again next year. All right, the first up for chair is the chair of 4B04 nominations. I would like to nominate Commissioner Allison Brooks to chair.
Second. Second.
Thank you.
Okay, it's been second. Anyone else? All right. No one? Okay. All right, Commissioner Brooks.
We have to vote? We have to vote?
Oh, yeah, we
No,
have to vote.
You're elected by acclamation.
Yeah,
There
acclamation.
are no
Okay.
other nominations.
All
It's
right.
acclamation.
All right,
All right,
now we
thank you.
have vice chair.
Well, I nominate Brenda Parks.
I'll second.
Second.
All right, Brenda Parks will be the vice chair because anyone another vote? Anyone else want to nominate? Okay, thank you. So Brenda Parks, Commissioner Parks will be vice chair. Okay, secretary, we have Commissioner Aaron Palmer, who's done a wonderful job. Thank you, Aaron, for the last 2 years. Okay, nomination for Aaron.
I nominate Aaron Palmer.
I second.
All right, okay, anyone else? All right, so Commissioner Palmer, congratulations.
Thank
All
you.
right. Treasurer, Jeff Promenade.
I would like to nominate Jeff to the treasurer position, please.
I second.
Okay.
I third. If
You third? Okay, all right. Thank you, thank you. Nomination second, third, first. Thank you so much because Jeff, thank you too. You've done a wonderful job. Okay, Jeff, treasurer. All right, so the new coming officers for the next year will be Commissioner Brooks will be chair. Commissioner Parks will be vice chair. Commissioner Palmer will be the secretary. And Commissioner Browningham will be our treasurer. And before I turn it over to our new chair, I would like to say thank you to all of you. You've done a wonderful job these last 2 years. I truly have enjoyed working with you. We had our trial and we had tribulations, but we all stuck together as one in 4B. But I'm gonna leave this with all of you just for a few moments here, because this is, I think, my 9th year. It is important to listen before we speak. And when I'm saying this, I'm saying this to myself. I'm talking to me too, okay? Listen, it's so important to listen, to listen. And when we talk, use our house voice and not our street voice, okay? When we talk, put a smile in your voice, because we are all human and we all have feelings. The most important is give each other respect. Respect. That is important. Respect. It's not about us. It's about the constituents that we serve. It's about our SMD that we serve. And when we speak, let's try to stay on the subject. Let's try to stay on the subject when we speak. And that, I enjoy serving you these last 2 years. I think that we all should serve as chair so we can know exactly what is going on, how we should react with each other, and how we should react with the District of Columbia, with our leaders that we have to follow. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Brooks, which will take my seat. Congratulations to all of you that came back in, and that I know that we would do a marvelous job the next 2 years. Commissioner Brooks.
Thank you.
Chairperson.
Okay, so as I take over this, I'm going to ask Aaron or Evan to text LaRoya. It appears that she's on the call. She can hear us, but Gordon can't see her. So if we could get that resolved, I would appreciate it. Okay, and I'll stop texting so I can be present. Okay, so continuing with the agenda, we have an appointment of a representative to the Walter Reed CAC. Do we have nominations for 4B's representative to Walter Reed Community Advisory Committee?
Yes, I nominate Commissioner Bromagem.
I second. Are there any other nominations? Given that there are no other nominations, congratulations, Commissioner Bromagem.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll move to the consideration and approval of January's agenda. Everyone should have a copy of the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions? Okay, hearing none, then the agenda is approved as presented. We can move on to the minutes of the November meeting. Everyone should also have a copy of the minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes?
I move that the agendas are approved.
I can't hear. To say.
Sorry, thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll move on to the minutes. I believe everybody has a copy of the minutes. Are there any additions or deletions? Okay, hearing no changes, is there a motion to accept the minutes as submitted?
I make a motion that we accept the minutes as written.
I
Is there a
second.
second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. So LaRoya was listed in the participants list and should be coming on now. Thank you, Gordon. Okay, where were we? Those were the minutes. All right, so we are required to provide a meeting schedule for 2021. The commission has discussed the schedule and we've agreed to meet every fourth Monday of the month with a recess in August and December. This is a departure from what we normally do, and we are now including a July meeting. So the dates are listed in the agenda, but just for everyone else, I'll read them. We have a meeting scheduled for February 22nd, March 22nd, April 26th, May 24th, June 28th, July 26th, September 27th, October 25th, November 22nd, and January 24th of 2022. Are there any objections to the meeting calendar as presented? Excuse me. Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda? I'm sorry, the meeting schedule.
I approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? No. Schedule approved. We'll move on to the approval of the ANC Security Fund.
Excuse me, I have a,
Jeff, Commissioner Bromagen, would you give a brief explanation of the security fund, if you don't mind?
Sure. And, Commissioner Jocelyn Johnson, did you have a question before I provide that?
thank you. I didn't know how
I'm
this
sorry, I
works.
didn't see you.
I don't see LaRoya. Is there something wrong with my computer? I don't see LaRoya at all.
Well, I don't see her actually, but we'll let Gordon deal with the technical aspect of it. Perhaps she's only on the phone. I don't know.
Oh, okay. I just,
She was there for a minute and seems to have gone off, so we'll try and back.
Okay.
I think he
Thank you
dropped
for-
off. Hopefully she'll come back on.
Thank
I
you.
didn't know if it was something wrong with my phone, my computer.
Oh, no. And she
No
dropped
problem. Okay.
Okay.
Security fund.
Yeah. I'm going to share my screen really fast. We are all provided with, I believe, the draft participation packet. And it has a resolution in it. And if it's all right with folks, I'm just going to read this really fast because I think that provides the overview. So this is a resolution for ANC 4B. It says, resolved that this commission approves the ANC's participation in the Advisory Neighborhood Commission Security Fund and authorizes the treasurer to pay the $25 fee for the period January 1st, 2021 agreement. Or I'm sorry, the January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021. The chairperson and secretary are authorized to execute the attached agreement. It is understood that 1, the check for the participation in the ANC Security Fund should be made payable to ANC Security Fund. 2, the ANC is not considered a participant in the fund until the ANC has received the acceptance section of the agreement, which has been signed by the District of Columbia auditor. And 3, the agreement will not be accepted by the auditor until all required documents have been received by the Office of the District of Columbia auditor. And then it proceeds to list the documents that we'll have to pull together. And as shown here, then we'll have to get the required signatures. So with that, I would move that we agree to participate in the ANC Security Fund for 2021.
There a second?
I second.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Can I just add a note? I think we need to move participation and the authorization of the $25 fee. Those are 2 requirements here.
Okay.
Sorry,
So is there an
Jen,
amendment
that
to the
was in-
motion?
Yeah, sorry, that was in language recommended from the Office of ANCs.
I'm sorry, I missed that. You're absolutely right. I will amend the
it
motion
would be,
that we vote to participate in the ANC Security Fund and authorize $25 payment to participate in the ANC Security Fund.
okay.
A
And
second.
is there a second? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? No, motion passed.
I'll be in touch with the officers to get the signatures on this as quickly as possible. So just be aware.
Okay,
We're coming for you.
great. The next item on the agenda are commissioner updates. And before we each take our turn, I just want to start by explaining to the residents of 4B05 that there is a vacancy in your seat. As you know, Commissioner Perry Huff was the representative for the last 2 years. He did not run this year. The resident that did run and ultimately win the election has since moved out of the SMD. And so it is unfortunate that at this time you don't have a representative that lives and resides inside of the SMD, but all of the commissioners have agreed to step up and provide support to 4B05 as we can. We have since put an out of office notification on that email inbox, and there will be instructions there on how to communicate with us if you need to. And on the agenda that everyone was emailed, you have our phone numbers. Excuse me, you have our phone numbers. And so if you have an issue that needs to be addressed, we are committed to ensuring that you have representation on this commission as well. So feel free to reach out to us when needed. So does anyone else have an update that they'd like to address at this time? Nope.
Other than,
Commissioner Yates?
Yes, I just wanted to remind folks, we've posted this the same way we post the agendas, but the commission is currently recruiting members for the Vision Zero committee. You can read more about that on our website or in the update, but if you're interested in applying, send a statement of interest to Commissioner Brooks and myself, who are the co-chairs.
Wonderful. Thank you. Anyone else? Commissioner Johnson?
I'm not sure what a commissioner update is, but would it be appropriate for me to introduce myself to anyone there who in the audience who might be
Absolutely.
okay, I'm Jocelyn Johnson, and I'm newly elected commissioner for 4B03. I'm not totally up and running yet, so I don't have an active ANC email, but I think I will have it in the next few days because I've heard tonight from Mr. Simon's office. So I will be reaching out to anybody that has any issues. I met some people as I was going around trying to get signatures and all that good stuff last summer, but I'd just like to say hello and I'm at your disposal. All that other good stuff. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Before I let anyone else speak, let me say this. Apparently my scroll button just rolls far further down the page than it should. And I actually missed 2 items that were in between commissioner updates and the ANC Security Fund. So please forgive me, but we need to go back to item H on the agenda and have the treasurer's report submitted. Commissioner Bromagen.
Yeah, thanks. So the only update I have is to provide the current balance in our checking account is $33,360.85. And we will have to catch up on some paperwork soon, but that's the only update I have for the treasurer's report.
Wonderful, thank you. The next item was the approval of the executive director employment contract. Commissioner Palmer, would you like to take the lead?
Or I can introduce that. We have been working for several months to fill a gap in our administrative support services. We actually haven't had administrative support for quite some time. Gordon Chafin with Street Justice has been providing our audio visual support since we moved to virtual meetings in response to the public health emergency. We worked with him and the Office of Advisory Neighborhood Commissions to put together a contract to bring him on for administrative support as our executive director, in addition to providing the audiovisual support. And speaking for myself, and I think the group, we're very excited to have his support. And he's been a great service to us thus far. And I look forward to the continued relationship.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, then is there a motion to approve the for the executive director employment contract with Gordon Chapin?
I
I'll
make a
move.
motion to approve.
And is there a second?
A second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Any abstentions? All right, the motion's carried. Now, we can go back to commissioner updates if there are any other updates that I missed. Nope. All right, then we'll keep going. Community concerns. For those of you that are on the Zoom presentation, you can click the raise your hand button. If you're only on your telephone and like to speak, please dial *9 and you'll be recognized. So this is your time to address questions, concerns, whatever you may want to bring to our attention. But note there's an opportunity to comment on agenda items when we reach that agenda item. Okay. All righty. Are there any questions? Oh, I see hands going up. Gordon, under the attendees, would you like to?
Sure. Hold on one second.
Also, I'm sorry, before we start, let me say one other thing. If you don't want to speak, you can type your question into the Q&A section and we will just read your question and answer it.
Okay, hold on one second. Julie, I'll get you. Julie Lawson, you should be able to speak.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Brief update from the Whittier Education Campus land. Tomorrow night, we are working with the Mayor's Office of African Affairs to have a meeting that will be conducted in Hamaric for any families that are from East Africa and want to learn more about language access to social services, and school reopening, as well as budget engagement and COVID vaccine access. I'm going to put the link to register in the chat. It's at 6 o'clock. As I said, it will be conducted entirely in Amharic, and we're really happy to have a number of schools in Ward 4 participating to support getting people out. But we'd really appreciate any support getting other families out that may not have heard about it.
Okay, wonderful. Evan, are you handling the Q&A for us this meeting?
Yes, I can read the Q&As and the questions, no problem.
Thank you.
The question is from Ms. R. Page. Does anyone know if the DC state of emergency extension stipulated on the DMV website 45 days post the end of the public health emergency for renewal of driver's licenses and registrations also includes the DDOT issued visitor parking passes that expired 31st December 2020?
I have an answer.
They do.
to that.
Yeah, go ahead, Aaron.
I just have
Commissioner Palmer.
I have the email up from the Department of Public Works, which says beginning in March 2020 and continuing for the duration of the public health emergency, the district has suspended enforcement for the following infractions. And that includes visitor parking permits and passes. So they're not enforcing any restrictions on expired permits and passes.
Wonderful, thank you. There's also a question in the chat, which is from Kenny. Are there any updates from on TSA submitted for Van Buren Street? So, I mean, I know that's you, right?
No, I think that's me. What, can you read the question again?
Okay, I'm sorry. Are there any updates from on TSA submitted for Van Buren Street?
That we have not received any updates, but I would ask that, I don't see who submitted that question. I'm sorry. If you can.
Kenny.
I
Kenny.
think think Kenny is my constituent, referring to the
Okay.
First and 100 and 200 blocks of Van Buren Street.
I have some on Van Buren too, so sorry for that.
Yeah,
So my
could be
understanding-
mistaken, but I submitted a TSA request there, but DDOT still is within its study period.
My understanding is that TSAs are not being conducted at this time during the public health emergency. So we need to follow up on that. I was told that very recently. So that might be your delay as well.
I was told that as well. They have been utilizing Howard students. And because Howard is not in session, that is one of the causes of the delay. I've been reaching out to DDOT to try and get additional information, and they have not been responsive. So at this point, I don't know where our TSAs really stand going forward. I think they're kind of being held in flux.
I would agree.
Yeah, I do know I got a acknowledgement, I guess, from DDOT, and it was assigned, I guess, to, an additional representative from there, kind of from the initial point of contact I received. So there's at least two kind of in our area that have been acknowledged. And then they kind of give you a 130-day or so kind of study period. But I'm hearing that, data collection, so to speak, to support that is on hold during COVID. There was another accident today, like right on Blair Road in Aspen. So the issues are not getting any better. It's getting worse.
Thank you.
Hold on 1 second, Uptown Main Street.
We have another question in the chat I can read.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I thought the ANC office had approved putting forth this is from B. Patterson, a 4B05 residence name to replace Brennan, who moved out of the SMD. What's the process for considering that person? I'll raise my hand, but I've typed my question here.
Okay. So right now, under normal circumstances, we would hold a special election. We, being the city, would hold a special election. Special elections cannot be conducted during the public health emergency. So, and a representative cannot be elected to the position until after the public health emergency ends.
Go ahead,
Okay,
Uptown.
so Uptown Main Street.
Good evening, commissioners and everybody listening. Thank you for the opportunity and Happy New Year to everybody. And we want to thank everybody who came out to a cleanup that we did on January 2nd. But more importantly, just to give everybody a save the date for February 13th. We're planning another community cleanup along the Kennedy Street corridor. And we'll be sharing details shortly, so just please stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Any more questions in the chat or in the Q&A? I didn't see any, but in case somebody else sees them.
Nope.
Nope. All right. Then we're going to move on to reports. The first report would be from Council Member Janice Lewis-George, and she has her team with her, Gordon, excuse me, and they have provided their names in the chat.
Yep.
So we need to promote the council member. Okay, you got everybody? Okay. So we'll be promoting Councilmember Lewis-George. Okay, Ms. Edwards, Samira Benitez, Catherine Esther. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I apologize if I'm not. Will Perkins, Matt Landrew, and Alex Taladoros. And you guys are on mute and can unmute yourselves once you're elevated to panelist.
Thank you so much. This is Tamira Benitez up. There is our council member.
You guys should be all set.
Oh, awesome. Chairman, can I take the floor?
Yes, you can.
Thank you. Good evening, ANC 4B, and Happy New Year. Thank you for inviting us to your January meeting. I'm particularly happy to be here in 4B because 4B is my home. And Commissioner Brenda Parks is my SMD commissioner. And so I'm really excited to be here with you all. To anyone joining I have not met yet, my name is Janice Lewis George, and I have the privilege of serving as the Ward 4 council member. And I'm here tonight. I really want to introduce myself and some members of my team really quickly because I know you all have a full agenda. And then to hear more about how I can support your work and community. You know, I said from the outset that I believe that advisory neighborhood commissions are such an integral part of building a government that really works for everyone, and a government that puts people first. So we want to have, our team wants to have a healthy relationship with our ANC commissioners and our constituents, rooted in trust and communication. And that's what we're here to begin building today. I want to thank all of the ANC commissioners who attended our meeting in December, a planning meeting, and to thank everyone as well who I was able to join on our swearing in ceremony. I just want to update you on some of the things we've been up to and what's to come. What we've been up to, one, obviously school reopening, just working and fighting for a safe reopen plan, including vaccines for our teachers and our childcare workers. We've also been doing the school walkthroughs at this time. That's been coordinated alongside our school board of education member, Frasier O'Leary. We've been fighting for COVID with the COVID-19 vaccines rollout. We've received several of your emails since the original rollout. Each time we hear from our constituents, we are able to add to the conversations that we are having with our briefing with Dr. Nesbitt and DC Health, which we have every, I believe it's every Tuesday. We're able to take those concerns and make changes. One of those concerns that was brought to the table was equity. And so with that concern being brought to the table and what we were seeing, there has been a preference made to take on equity as far as priority zip codes go. As everyone, we are in phase 1B, tier 2, which includes healthcare workers, seniors 65 and older, and our public school teachers are now included. And thanks to the advocacy of so many of our ANC commissioners on here, we were able to successfully get childcare workers included in the tier 1, the phase 1B tier 2 group, and more information will be coming regarding that. Thursday mornings at 9 a.m. Will be the time the vaccines are released for priority zip codes, and all of Ward 4 zip codes are included in priority zip codes. And then Friday morning at 9 a.m. Is the release for all folks within the current phase, regardless of their zip codes. And that was in part due to our fight for equity. Obviously, public safety has been a very big concern, not only in our ward, but obviously nationally, as on day 3, there was an insurrection at the Capitol. And so works that we were beginning on, we're preparing obviously for inauguration. And now that that's over, we've been focusing on, and my legislative team have been working on trying to get budgets in place so that we can implement a comprehensive public safety plan here for Ward 4 and have the funding that's necessary to do that. Coming up, also this past week, we did have a COVID town hall and we're able to bring stakeholders together to ask any questions, to have the community ask any questions about, the vaccine, and we will continue to be a resource for information as the vaccination rollout continues to happen. The chair of the Committee on Health is now having a vaccination roundtable Friday, January 29th at 10 a.m. Persons wishing to provide oral testimony on January 29th should contact Malcolm Cameron, the legislative analyst of the Committee on Health, and I'll have put his email and phone number in the chat group. And they should do so by Thursday, January 28th, so that you may be able to testify about some of the issues you've been having with the rollout of the vaccine and how we can make it better. Coming up, we have performance oversight hearings, which will be reaching out to each of your ANC commissioners to gather direct and detailed questions for performance oversight. We will be focusing on, we will be working to attend all of our oversight hearings, but we will be working to make sure that some of the key areas that we've heard, such as DDOT, will be areas that we will be focusing on and having a really robust oversight hearing. The other thing we are working on, obviously, is a comprehensive plan. We were able to get Chairman Mendelson to agree to a comprehensive plan meeting with our ANC commissioners. And so we will be having that call with our ANC commissioners regarding remarks on comprehensive plan, as well as our legislative team will be also accepting comments and questions on the comprehensive plan. And so those are a few of the things that we have coming up. I don't think, if I missed anything, Lanace will let me know. And just really quickly, I want to introduce you to our team. Some of the members of our team aren't on, but a few of them are. And so for those members, if you could just really quickly just share your name and position, and then we will open the floor up to questions if Chairman Brooks would like that. Thanks.
Sure. Happy to get started. My name is Lanace Edwards. I'm the council member's chief of staff. Excited to meet some of you all, and I get to work with everyone. I'll turn it over to Tamira.
Thank you so much. Tamira Benitez. I work in the Constituent Services team along with Matt. I am in 4B, 4B04, and that's pretty much it. Happy to be here. Excited to work with you.
Did I catch that right? You live in 4B04 as well?
I'm sorry, what?
Did I catch that right, that you live in 4B04 as well?
Yes, yes, I do. Quackenbos and 7th place.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Matthew. I work in constituent services alongside Tamira. I live on 4th and Upshur, so not in 4B, but I'm a newly Ward 4 resident, so excited to be in the area. I'm really excited to get to know those of you who I don't know, and it's nice to see those of you who I do. I'll drop my contact information in the chat. If anybody needs to be in touch, anything constituent services related, please feel free to reach out to Tamira. I would love to be alongside you in any ways that you need.
So before you guys continue, let me remind you that not everyone is able to see the chat. And so if you're giving out phone numbers or other information, you might actually want to read that, give that out to everyone as well.
Thanks for that reminder.
Thank you so much. Matt, I'll let you read out mine as well.
That sounds good. Is now a good time for that, Commissioner Brooks?
Yes, go ahead.
Great. If you'd like to reach out to our constituent services team, I'll tell you Tamira's email and phone number, and then I'll tell you mine. If you'd like to reach out to Tamira, her email address is tbenitez, that's TBENITEZ @bccouncil.us. And the phone number is 202-288-3401. And I'll say my name again and tell you my phone number. This is Matthew, Constituent Services Coordinator, and you can reach me at 202-286-6311. Thanks so much.
Okay, I'll open the floor to questions. If you can raise your hand through the chat if you have a question for the council member and her team, or dial *9 from your phone.
Commissioner Brooks, I see nothing in the Q&A function.
Wonderful.
There's one question in the chat. Andre would like to know, what about the second leaf collection? Is there any announcement as to schedule?
What we know with the leaf collection is that they are delayed for a couple of weeks. We hear 2 to 3 weeks delay right now, but we'll find out more information about that and send you some dates.
This is LaRoya, 4B09, and so I have a question and a concern to pass on from residents. So while I know with the COVID vaccine rolling out for seniors, there's a concern with schools being open, and I have 3 constituents whose families have been affected, the entire family, by COVID, and 2 of the residents contributed to children. So I heard you talk about the teachers getting vaccinated and the staff, but you have children that are attending school and then going back home. And like I said, I have 3 families in my SMD that have been impacted, they say, by the children.
Yeah, so, the current reopen plans, obviously, we had some questions with the chancellor last week during the call that we were able to have during the briefing. I would like to see I would like to see metrics for our reopen plan. I would like to also see more transparency and the requirements met. We have requested that to happen. And at tomorrow's briefing with DC Health, we will bring this concern up to see if that will add to any substantive answers from the chancellor regarding the current reopen plan that they have set in place for us.
And so right now the children aren't vaccinated, correct?
Correct. They're not vaccinated, and they're not they are in a phase that is they're not in 1B or 1A, and they're much further down. In the group, and they're still developing vaccines for children at this time. So I'm not sure when that will occur. And so right now the focus has just been on the getting educators and childcare workers vaccinated.
I believe Commissioner Johnson has a question.
Hey, I do. I have a question. First of all, Councilmember George, I appreciate the help you all gave me through Matthew to help me get my issues addressed with the Office of ANC. I appreciate that. And as far as the it seems like DC, it seems like it has such a convoluted, confusing process. I heard on the radio that Maryland isn't like that at all. You could just fill out your application and send it on. And I don't understand why we just can't fill out the applications and send whatever group you're in, the teachers, 65-year-old seniors or whatever, fill out an application, send it on, and then the Department of Health, even if you gave them a few dates that you're available or whatever, they could get back to you and give you some feedback. As I was trying to go on the site to get my vaccinations, it's a frustrating situation. It'll show the different Giants or Safeways or whatever the store is. And then when you click on it, you get a message that says this site doesn't have any vaccines. Well, why did the site pop up? It just seems like it puts all the burden on and frustration on the seniors or whatever group. I guess everybody's going through the same thing. And seniors is probably one population that's not as savvy computer-wise as some of the other groups are. But I don't even think you should have to do that. You should be able to fill in your information. The city would be happy to know that all the seniors or all the people are coming in and giving you their contact information, and then let the Department of Health or whatever, whoever it is doing the weeding out, take those applications and then start processing them instead of you having to go back in and do it anew every time you try to get set up for a vaccine. I don't get it. It's so frustrating and so crazy. I just wanted to say that out loud because it's unbelievable. I thought, that maybe what Biden brings to the table is that he'll get a 50-state system that's streamlined for everybody, so we're all doing it the same way. DC is.
So let me jump in and say that I promised to stay on point for our time allotment, and we have already exceeded the 10-minute allotment. But Jocelyn, while you definitely had the floor, I didn't actually hear your question for the council member. So before we wrap up, I want to make sure your question gets answered. So is there a question that she can respond to?
I wanted her to understand, wanted Councilmember George to understand that my frustration and maybe a question would be, can the city come up with a streamlined process that can help the applicants, whatever group they're in, just fill out the paperwork, send it on, and then the city comes back and tells you when, your appointment is. If you give them 4 or 5 dates or whatever, you're available, and locations, rather than for you to click to the store or whatever, and then find out the store isn't given and hasn't been given any vaccines. I don't even understand why the store would be listed if it doesn't have any vaccines. I don't even get that, but anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Thank you for your comment. And that has come up already several times, the process and some of the issues with the process. I will say that I did visit our Ward 4 centers, Mary Center, as well as Hattie Homes and the Safeway. We were able to go there and observe the process and observe some of the issues with the process. We have asked for them to take out a number of the processes that are literally allowing for longer lines and bottlenecking the process at the moment. I mean, when seniors get there, they stand in line, they have to then sit and fill out forms. And then after they fill out forms, they have to wait until a room is available. And just the current facility spaces that we have don't allow for, and there's an observation period that is a 15-minute or 30-minute, depending on your medical needs and conditions, that people have to wait 15 minutes and 30 minutes after to be observed. And everyone can't be observed in the same room due to social distancing. And so the filling out of forms and that is required at the current stations, and additionally the observation period and the space necessary for observation is currently allotting for a lot of extra time that's being spent. And so we have made those requests to DC Health to make those improvements. We will see what their response is to that in our next briefing and get back to you on what their response was to that and what updates have been made. And I also encourage you to provide your testimony on Friday if you would like to further echo those concerns for yourself and your constituents. Thank you.
Thank you for having your team on our first meeting of the year. Are there any closing thoughts that you'd like to share before we move to the next agenda item?
No, just thank you all. And we also are having updates. We will put a link in the chat how to sign up for our newsletters. We are posting them obviously in all of the separate listservs, but we would like to ask you to enter your email. We didn't want to buy emails or take emails. We want you to subscribe yourself to our newsletter. And so if you would like to do that, please subscribe to our newsletter, and we will enter that in the chat as well. And we've shared it on our Facebook as well as our Twitter page. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Gordon, our next panelist is Anthony Mitchell. Anthony comes to us from the Mayor's Office of Community Relations and Services, and he has 5 minutes. I'm going to do better, guys.
Mr. Mitchell, you should be able to speak.
The floor is yours.
Well, good evening, everybody. First of all, thank you so much, Chair Brooks, for the introduction and for allowing me to join you all this afternoon, this evening. It's always a pleasure to be above the dirt and never have the dirt on top of you. So I kind of enjoy to be alongside you all this evening. I'm not going to take up too much of time, mostly because I only have 5 minutes, but it is a pleasure to be with you all. I have sent each of you requests for one-on-ones in your email. So if at some point you have time just to connect and share some of the things that are going on in your SMDs and how we can be more targeted and more helpful to you all, please let me know. We'll be happy to connect with you all. My phone number is 202-436-2087. Once again, that is 202-436-2087. And my email is standard email, anthony.mitchell@dc.gov. I just want to provide a few quick updates, especially about the vaccine distribution, which I know a lot of folks have been asking about. The first thing is thank you to Commissioner Tiffany Johnson, and Commissioner Palmer for raising the need for physical distribution of materials to our seniors. We got some information out this morning. I have also printed out a few, so at some point tomorrow, I'm probably going to set up shop somewhere, and if folks want physical copies, I can either bring those to you or have folks just meet me at a central location and give those out. But we definitely want to make sure that we're being mindful of our seniors, especially during this time, who may not be tech savvy, and want to make sure that they have the most information available to them to stay safe. In terms of vaccine distribution, as of Saturday, the 23rd, the total doses that have been delivered to the district for distribution is 68,750. Those that have already been administered are 51,421, and becoming available this week are an additional 9,475 doses of the vaccine. Further breakdown of that is we will be receiving 8,775 from Pfizer and 5,600 from Moderna. The expected 9,475 I mentioned was as of this weekend, but we got additional doses of the vaccine delivered this morning. Folks may have been hearing about this, but I just want to clarify that other health systems within the health system, aside from DOH, Department of Health, have been giving the vaccine to their specific population. So those are your Howard University hospitals, or MedStar, Sibley, United Medical Center, Kaiser Permanente have been given the vaccine to folks that are in their particular populations. I do want to clarify there that that is not in competition with DC Health. So DC Health gets their own set of vaccines that they distribute, and other independent medical organizations like Howard University Medical or MedStar have their own allotments or own pods of vaccine that they get from another source. So that's, all to say that if folks have availability elsewhere to get the vaccine outside of the vaccine hotline, or waiting for Thursday or Friday morning to try and get the vaccine, they're encouraged by health professionals to try and get it wherever you can. It's the same vaccine. There's a slight variation between the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine that it's almost insignificant to note, but if you can get either one, or from either Department of Health or any subsidiary medical organization, definitely get your hands on it and get an appointment if you can. As always, one of the best ways of spreading information is word of mouth. So, make sure your parents, grandparents, neighbors, anybody that you know that's 65 and older, let them know that they are eligible to get the vaccine now, and help them make a plan to get an appointment so that we can get them taken care of as quickly as possible as one of our most vulnerable populations. Just to remind folks, the vaccine is safe, it is effective, and it is a key point of our getting back to normalcy. So as long as we do that, I think we will be okay. I think I'm coming up on time. Thank you, Gordon. And with that, I'm going to stop and sit for any questions if there are any.
Okay, again, if there are any questions, please use the raise your hand function or *9. Oh, I'm sorry. Also, let me start with commissioners. I have to get better, guys. All right. I'm just going to go in SMD order. So I saw Commissioner Palmer raise her hand first. Go ahead.
Thank you. Anthony, thank you for that information. I'm
No
wondering,
problem.
residents know if they're eligible for a vaccination via a hospital versus whether they should be prioritizing trying to get an appointment through the DC government vaccination portal?
Yes, so if they have, let's say, Kaiser Permanente, for example, and you fall into an eligible category, they will proactively reach out to you because they already have your medical information and contact information. So that wouldn't come from Department of Health, that would come from Kaiser or your health provider. Good question.
Thank you.
And the same thing, just so you know, the same thing happened with Washington Hospital Center. My mother got a call from the hospital to get her vaccine from her primary care. Commissioner Johnson? I guess I have to be specific. Commissioner Tiffany Johnson.
Yeah, because I forgot we have two Johnsons now.
Yeah, there are two Johnsons now.
So, just so I'm clear, there's not going to be any targeted anything for people we support. We're gonna have to do that on our own. Is that what I'm understanding? That there's not gonna be a targeted effort?
Yes.
I'm confused. Can you ask your question again in a different way?
Are you not, is the mayor not going to provide a targeted effort to reach out to senior citizens to get them the information that they need?
I think one of the ways that we, and thank you for the question, Commissioner Johnson. I think we have engaged in a targeted effort to reach out to senior citizens. I know personally, I've made over 100 different phone calls to folks to let them know and even walk them through getting the vaccine, but also, you know, using our partners like DACO and specific health agencies to help spread the word about not only are they available, but this is how you do it. And having folks, I know DACO has one of their partner programs where they have buddy systems of, you know, folks that aren't technologically savvy, to having them have a partner that walks them through the process of calling someone or going on vaccinate.dc.gov to try and schedule an appointment, which I admit has been frustrating and has not had the most friendly user interface, which is a lot of feedback that we've gotten from folks. But from those who have been a part of that targeted effort, either with, you know, the buddy system, with the electronic media that we've been giving out, and now with the physical media, we're planning to do, you know, drop-bys to different senior centers throughout the ward and throughout other parts of the district to let folks know what is available to them. There's also a partnership being discussed between for the senior meal drop-offs every week. We've talked about dropping resources there to minimize contact with seniors, but solidifying all the information that's available to them. So that's one also medium that we've talked about using one of our partners for targeted efforts to make sure that seniors know what's available to them.
You've talked about it, but is it?
Okay, wait.
Are you actually printing out documentation?
Yes, ma'am. I printed it this afternoon. It's happening. It's a slower process because we have to go through our internal processes for putting out mass media. But it is happening, and we are.
And those are the documents. I'm sorry to cut you off. Those are the documents that you mentioned earlier, just to be clear, that people can meet you tomorrow to receive.
Correct.
Okay.
But those are also the ones that I emailed to each of you earlier today.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Let's move to the questions in the chat, please.
Yes, Commissioner Brooks. Let's see, hold on just a second. I had the name. For some reason, my chat is having trouble displaying people's names. I apologize if I don't read your name. Can anything be done about the heavily littered bus stop on the west side of Blair Road at Oglethorpe Street Northwest? That question is from Jim Steely.
Okay. Jim, I'd love to talk to you more about that. Let's see if we can get some folks out there to get that cleaned up.
He's my constituent, and yes, I'm well aware of that, and it's being worked on.
Lovely.
Wonderful. I didn't get to call on every commissioner and I didn't see any other hands. So unless you stop me now, I'm going to assume that we can excuse Mr. Mitchell. We've exhausted our 5 minutes and
Commissioner Brooks, I see nothing further in the chat or in the question and answer.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell.
Thank you all. You have my phone number, my email. Please feel free to bug me at any point. This is my day job, so here to help you all. Thank you.
Thank you for all you're doing.
Great.
Welcome aboard. Thank you.
So next we have Frasier O'Leary from the State Board of Education.
We can hear you, Frasier.
I'm unmuted. I don't see a thing for the camera.
Hold on.
But that's all right. You don't need to see me.
Oh, we want to see you.
Just so I can start with my 3 minutes. I'm going to be quick. I put my email address and my phone in the chat. Happy New Year to everybody. Happier New Year now that it's past the 20th of January. And I'm just going to tell you what's going on. The mayor and the chancellor have decided to open all DCPS schools on February 1st. All teachers and staff who will return will get their first shot this week of the vaccine. I don't think the schools should open until the teachers have had their second shot and the week or two to make sure that it works. And then I'm for it. On last Thursday, DCPS decided that all elementary school teachers and staff who have school-age children in the entire metropolitan area, public, private, and charter schools, can bring their children with them to the school where they work. I don't know if you're aware of that yet. They seem to have made it a secret. I did visits last week and weeks before of our schools, the high schools and the middle schools, which are all brand new or relatively brand new, look really, really good. The elementary schools, such as LaSalle Bacchus, West and Truesdale, have real issues with their HVAC systems and with circulation in the building. I didn't mention Dorothy Height or Raymond. They have the same kind of issues for this year, but they'll be out of their schools next year. Dorothy Height will be moving to Sharp Health. West will be moving back into the brand new West, which is right across the street from my house. And I don't know where Raymond's going, but I'll let you know next meeting. All of the schools have the appropriate PPE equipment, all of the equipment. They have everything that they need to open up as far as that's concerned. And the last thing, we finished up with Mrs. O'Leary's books for friends last year. I stopped delivering books at the end of December, and we were able to deliver over 15,000 books in 2020. And so now my living room is starting to get full again, and we will start delivering books this week. That's what I have. My information's in the chat. If you've got books you want to donate, please get in touch with me. I'll come pick them up, or you can put them on my porch or whatever.
Okay, wonderful.
So I'm open for any questions if you have any.
Evan?
Yes. Welcome back, Frasier. Congratulations on your reelection.
Oh, thank you.
First of all, I wanted to ask if you'd heard anything from DC Health about changing plans for the more virulent like the more spreadable COVID virus that caused the schools to reclose in Britain that they found in Maryland. Did you hear anything about that?
Not at all, but asking me if I've heard anything from any of the players in the city, even though, because we weren't even asked to be on the reopen committee of the mayor's reopen committee. So we're the last people to find out those kinds of things. I haven't heard anything about that on the news or anything. What really bothers me is allowing the teachers to go back in the building with just one shot of their vaccines.
There's a question in the chat if no other commissioners want to go.
Yeah, there is.
Yes, this is
Commissioner Parks.
Parks. This is just a statement, not a question. What bothers me is that everyone is concerned about the adults. Who is concerned about our children?
That's a great question. The children, they don't give the vaccine to younger children now. That's nationwide, they don't do it.
I understand that, but it's not saying that kids cannot get COVID-19. I'm very, because I love our kids.
I don't think that kids can't get it. I think.
No, I didn't say you, sweetheart. I didn't say you, but I'm talking about the people that's making decisions here. The kids only have about 20 more weeks before school ends again. Why is it that it's so imperative that they have to go back to school February the 1st when they've been out all this time? And I think that the majority of the kids have done a really great job, being at home. It baffles me that adults making decisions, and a lot of these adults don't have children. And when my council member said Friday, and I do work Friday, but I'm going to take some time off, a couple of hours, so that I can send my questions in about if our kids, if y'all kids, I won't say my kids too, because I don't have kids, but my kids, if they catch the virus, the virus was not virus is not the problem. Adults, you are to blame, because we only have 20 more weeks. And I'm saying every parent that has children, you need to call in on this. Kids should not go back to school right now. They've been out for 20 weeks. They've been out all this time. They only have 20 more weeks to go. I know being at home with your kids every day is rough, but guess what? That's parenthood. I'm sorry, it's parenthood.
I agree. I testified in front of the city council last week, and the last paragraph was no school should be open until all the buildings, both government and school buildings, are deemed safe for everyone and the employees are vaccinated. Do not let our children be pawns in a grown-up's game. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's exactly what you just said, Ms. Parks, and I agree with you completely.
Thank you.
Yep.
Do any other commissioners have questions before we move to the chat? I want to ask one of the questions out of the chat, because I think it's relevant to what Commissioner Parks just said. Someone indicated in the chat that they think the return to school on February 1st is optional, and that parents have the option to decline the seat.
That's true.
Is that the case?
Parents have the option to stay with virtual learning until the end of the school year. Okay. You need to know that.
Just to piggyback.
And look, they're thinking about 4,000 students coming back on February 1st out of 50,000 students.
Go ahead, Evan.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on that with Commissioner O'Leary, with Member O'Leary's statement, and just say I think some of the concerns for parents like me, whose kids are remaining virtual, are the devotion of resources that it takes to reopen them, and the concern that they're pulling resources away from the students that are in virtual learning that may result in increased class sizes or changing schedules or things like that when we're looking for stability, or may not even be eligible for return in person. Should I read the questions in the chat now?
I think that it hasn't been, I'm going to put in a plug for not having the mayor be in control of education, because it seems to me that the plans that are going through right now are not made by people who think about children.
Okay. From the chats, Andre Carley wants to know, Mr. O'Leary, how is Tacoma Education Center looking COVID-wise?
I mentioned that the schools that have been remodeled are doing, but Tacoma still has some problems with their air circulation, but they're all the newer schools like Tacoma and Barnard, the middle schools and the high schools are, and Brightwood have much better facilities than the ones that are the older buildings that haven't been fixed and are not going to be fixed for a couple of years.
The Badia Suda says, I agree about rushing the kids back to school. Why? It's too dangerous. And then the Interfaith Primary School of North America says, it is still virtual and the classes will be capped at no more than 11 students per classroom. And that's the constituent questions that are in the chat right now.
They're talking about 11 students. We'll see.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. O'Leary. We have exceeded our time for this segment of the agenda, and we're going to move on.
Jocelyn had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Commissioner Johnson.
Just wanted to ask, Mr. O'Leary, are you saying that children don't have to have verification of their vaccines like all the other shots that kids have to have before they go back to school?
I think, am I back on? No.
Yeah, go ahead.
You are.
Okay. What was the question? I'm sorry.
Are you saying that children don't have to verify that they've had their vaccines, just like, you know, they have to have their smallpox and chickenpox?
No, they're not required to say they have their COVID vaccine. The students that come back if the student came in with their parent, if my child came with me when I was teaching with this new regulation, then they would have to be vaccinated, but they wouldn't have to have the COVID vaccine.
There's no
because it's not a mandatory vaccine. So students, as a parent, I can explain this. My student is only eligible, required to provide proof of mandatory vaccines, and
Right.
the COVID vaccine is not mandatory.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's not even available to children at this point. It's not even developed for children at this point, which unfortunately is a bigger issue.
And it also
Thank you.
crosses the line, if you think about it, because we have students, especially in the high schools, and the high schools are opening on the 1st of February, who are over 16, 17, 18 years old. They're considered adults by everybody else, but they're not considered adults as far as the vaccine is concerned.
It looks like we lost Mr. O'Leary. So unfortunately, he fell off as a panelist or lost his reception. I'm not sure, but we'll move to the next item on the agenda, which in this case is MPD. I believe we have a representative from MPD in the group, or we did at one point. Is Derek still there? I don't see Derek Staten. So if there's an MPD representative, if you would please identify yourself in the chat, we'd appreciate it.
Or raise
And
your
while
hand.
we're waiting, or raise your hand, yeah. Okay, then we will move on to that report from the Housing Justice Committee. Commissioner Palmer.
Yes, Gordon, can you pull over Chris Sousa, who is the secretary of the committee who will provide the update tonight?
Yep, he's coming over.
You're muted, but hi.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So the Housing Justice Committee had their first meeting a few weeks ago in mid-December. There were 4 of us there, and the first meeting was doing the initial logistics and also doing some visioning for what the committee can do and accomplish on behalf of ANC 4B. We talked about a 3-pronged goal for our committee, evaluating development projects within ANC 4B to help determine how it could further affordable housing, deeply affordable housing goals on behalf of the district. The second prong was monitoring legislation or district-wide actions that would have effects not only on our ANC, but across the district on affordable housing and deeply affordable housing. And there was a lot of discussion at the meeting about how the logistics of best doing that. And then the third prong of what we envision for the committee, at least at this point, is doing some public education, public outreach about affordable housing and about how constituents and residents of ANC 4B can assist in the process of ensuring that housing costs are more manageable. Yeah, so it was just me and Commissioner Palmer, who is the chair of the committee, and two other members, Julia Morton and Leanne Rosenberg. And we're meeting bi-monthly, the second Monday of every month. So the next meeting's in mid-February. And we're really excited about the work of the committee.
Wonderful. Thank you for the update. Are there any questions from the commissioners?
I just want to thank the members of the Housing Justice Committee for taking this on. I sat in for a brief while on your meeting, and I'm excited about the work you're doing. And I want to just thank you for the update and for doing this important work.
Yes, thank you. If there are any questions from the community, they can raise their hand or dial *9 and we'll recognize you. I didn't see anything in the chat. Did you, Evan? Or the
Nothing
Q&A?
in the chat or the Q&A function, Chair Brooks.
All right, then we will move to presentations. We'll start with Maurice Smith, DC Public Service Commission, and the Office of the People's Counsel. Stephen, you'll have to tell me how to pronounce your last name. I don't want to butcher it. Mr. Smith, the floor is yours. I can't hear you, sir. I believe you're muted.
Gordon, is this an issue on our end or?
No, this is something with Mr. Smith's microphone or computer.
It looks like Stephen is here too. Maybe we can start with him.
Yep.
Okay.
Mr. Smith, try to check the volume on your computer and see if it's on 0. So Stephen Marinzik gave me the trick to remembering, to being able to pronounce it correctly. So Stephen, you need to take yourself off of mute also.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
It's like forensic with an M.
Got it.
Forensic. Hello, everybody. Hello, commissioners. My neighbors to the north. I'm at ANC 4C09, so not too far away at all. Good evening, Mr. Smith. I see you as well, Commissioner. How are you? Just real briefly, I'm sure that the commissioner will also talk a lot about what we are doing for the Here to Help DC. This is for utility concerns. Just a really quick rundown of what OPC is and what we do. We're the Office of the People's Counsel. We are your consumer utility advocates. What that means is we are basically your utility lawyer. If you were to have an issue with your electric, natural gas, landline phone service, and now DC water, you could call our office and we would assist you on your behalf. So if we needed to bring an issue before the Public Service Commission, who is the regulatory authority, we would advocate on your behalf. So we like to see, you may have seen our flyers around town where your utility lawyer, whenever you hear free lawyer, that's always a good thing to hear. So we hope people, if you do have issues with utilities, or if you have a constituent who has an issue with utilities, please do forward them to us. I'm one of those crazy people who's on all the listservs. I follow most of you on Twitter. So you may have seen me retweet some of your information before, Ms. Palmer. But I just want to let you know, there's a lot going on right now because of the COVID-19 pandemic. First and foremost, one of the issues is the utility disconnection moratorium. So if a consumer is having an issue with payments right now, as a lot are, the utilities are not disconnecting them. We are encouraging folks, if you are able to make payments, please continue to do so, because you will accrue large bills if you're not sending at least something each month. So we are encouraging folks to definitely do that, make payments. We can also help set up payment arrangements. Excuse me, I got a little hair on my tongue, sorry about that. If you need, the utilities are not asking for upfront down payments, which is what they would normally do in the before times. So if you're unable to make a large down payment, we can help negotiate something that you wouldn't need that for. We're also helping consumers find financial assistance. We have no financial assistance in our office, but we have some amazing coworkers with me that are miracle workers. They work with outside social services or other government agencies to help find financial assistance. In fact, this Wednesday, we're holding our social service discussion, which is what we do every year. This year, we're doing it quarterly, where we share information with the Department of Energy. We share it with like Salvation Army, other nonprofits too. So that way we know where and how folks can get assistance in the city. I would encourage everyone to sign up for our newsletter on our website. I'll put that in the chat. It's opc-dc.gov. Outside of COVID, if you have any kind of utility question, no matter what it is, please reach out to us. Follow us on Twitter. I'll put my email in the chat box. Our email address is info@opc-dc.gov. My sort of pet issue is third-party suppliers. These are the companies that you might hear, especially now because we're all home. They go door to door, and they make phone calls, they send you letters telling you to switch to them, or they're saying we could get you a discount, we'll send you a $50 gift card if you sign up with us. I would just invite everyone to please read the fine print. Something sounds too good to be true, it often is. And we've had people sign up for things that they couldn't afford in the long run. So if someone's asking you a question about that, please forward them to me. I'm more than happy to discuss that information. I know Commissioner Smith will have more information. I didn't want to step on what he's also going to talk about. So.
Right. So we're going to see if we can hear him. Mr. Smith, can you
hear me now?
Yes, we can. So before you jump in, I'm just going to let Stephen know that you're probably going to hear a lot from me in the near future, or you probably have heard of me already. I've been working with Margaret Moskowitz, who is amazing. And so we're very satisfied with the service that she's been able to provide residents on Quackenbaugh Street, Northeast, so far. But we're having a big problem with Washington Gas there, and need to have a more, I guess, global response from them. And she's been doing a great job with that. So thank you very much.
Yes, absolutely. Reach out to us. We have engineers on staff. So we have a whole technical division. That's the sort of division where my head spins, but we've got experts for that. So yes, absolutely reach out on any kind of technical issue.
Okay, let's move to Mr. Smith. The floor is yours, sir.
Actually, Commissioner Brooks, Margaret Moskowitz is a part of my staff, but that's not the.
Oh, that's right. We switched it. That's right. I forgot.
Yeah,
she's definitely.
The OPC does. They have fine people there, but Margaret is our senior consumer specialist.
Yes, Ms. Jefferson is with
that's
Stephen.
right.
So
that's right.
they've both been helping me with different customers.
I'm going to try to share my screen. Yeah, we got it.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just get to it. All right. So thank you for the opportunity to appear again. Stephen really described a lot of what's going on in the space of utility rates and during the pandemic. So I'll try to be brief, and then we can open it up for questions. Again, I'm Maurice Smith, and I'm the Director of Office Consumer Services. These are some of my colleagues with me during a lighter moment. Who are we? We are the regulatory agency for all district utilities, PEPCO, Washington Gas, Verizon, as well as competitive energy service suppliers. We've been in business for over more than 100 years. We celebrated our 100-year anniversary in 2013, I'm sorry. We're a quasi-judicial agency. We issue decisions, and we operate like a court, and our decisions are usually appealed to the DC courts, or can be appealed to the DC courts. We have 3 commissioners, our chairman, Willie Phillips, and Commissioner Richard Beverly, and we have 1 commissioner vacancy right now, which we hope to fill in the future. How is the DC Public Service Commission helping utility consumers during the COVID-19 public health emergency? One of the things we're ensuring that consumers have continued access to utility service. We support and monitor the prohibition on the disconnection of electric and gas services and telephone for non-payment of charges. Now, that this prohibition is set to expire 15 days after the end of the public health emergency, which now runs through March 31st. We don't know if will it be extended or not, but the prohibition on the disconnection and late fees regarding utility services will extend through the public health emergency and the end of it 15 days later. And we're monitoring the situation to make sure that the consumers are protected. Disconnection, again, disconnections, late fees on all utility services are prohibited to the 15 days after the end of March. As Stephen said, during this pandemic and during the public health emergency, we've been encouraging consumers, if you can afford to pay your bills, please continue to pay them. This prohibition on disconnection is not a prohibition on payments. So we don't want consumers, if they can avoid it, gathering large arrearages. Again, the DC Public Service Commission, my Office of Consumer Services, we're available to help consumers negotiate payment arrangements for additional assistance. There are utility discount programs in place now, both on Pepco, Washington Gas, and Verizon, that consumers can take advantage of to get reduced rates on their bills. Now, these are income-based programs, but during the pandemic or during this, while we've been away, many consumers who otherwise would not qualify have experienced a loss in income. So we encourage them to apply for these programs as they can. LIHEAP, this is a very important program. It's the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. 2 types of benefits are available: emergency and regular assistance benefits. The emergency benefit is currently being administered to anybody that owes more than $250 on a utility count. The regular benefit continues to be income-based. It's for low-income consumers, but we encourage, again, if you've experienced a change in your household income situation during this, you may be eligible for even the regular benefits, and certainly anybody that owes more than $250 is eligible for an emergency benefit up to $600. This program is administered by the Department of the Energy and Environment, but anybody can call 311 to ask for energy assistance. That's all they have to really say. I need energy assistance, 311. They'll be connected with that department and to see what they're qualified for. Pepco has an arrearage management program. This is a way that you can work off an old balance just by making timely payments every month. Just the simplest example, say you had an old $1,200 balance. Well, if you're eligible for this program, and it's also low income based, every time you make a regular payment of your current charges, $100 would come off that bill in 12 months. So in 12 months, you would knock that down. So this is to incentivize consumers to pay their bills regularly. You can contact Pepco, and I'll put some of this information in the chat before I leave. But these are current things that are there. We also have a senior discount rate. Senior consumers receiving both the homestead exemption and the senior disability rate deduction are eligible for a senior rate discount a monthly discount of $7.50. Steve mentioned here to help DC. This is where all of us, all the agencies who touch the utility space, we're kind of joining forces to try to help consumers with getting these bills paid or making arrangements and anything that they can do or anything that's available to them. So we're trying to join forces so consumers won't have to, it won't be such a maze where they have to go. So we'll be putting information together and having certain programs along these lines.
Okay. We are at the almost the 13-minute mark. And so I want to make sure we get to some questions from people.
Okay. All right.
Is that okay?
Right. This is my last slide, just talking about.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So one question in the Q&A, I saw it was answered in the, Commissioner Brooks, sorry, I didn't go to commissioners first. My apologies.
No problem. Commissioners, can you actually, Mr. Smith, take it out of sharing mode, please? I'm having trouble seeing my commissioners. Thank you. Okay, let's just start with questions from the commissioners. Go ahead, Commissioner Palmer.
Thank you. I'm not sure. I think, Stephen, this is maybe a question for you. If you can talk about the status of the proposed PEPCO rate hike and any updates on that.
Sure. So as far as the PEPCO rate hike, I've spoken before a little bit about it to a number of ANC commissions. We've published information on our social media and on our website. But really what it all boils down to is that PEPCO has requested a multi-year rate increase. This is something new. The commission had asked the utilities to come out and do some research and make a request on this. So that way they're not coming back every year to make a rate request. OPC has come out in opposition to both of PEPCO's requests, the multi-year, and if they're rejected for the multi-year, we've also come out opposed to their single-year request. PEPCO's data that they've used for this information, they had to go back and make some corrections, which they did, but we're just not seeing the benefits as consumers. And so we have galvanized support from the community. We had a hearing earlier later in last year where we got a large number of consumers to come out against it and testify at the hearing. So right now the record is officially closed for that, and the commission is expected to make a decision sometime in the spring. That's where we are with the rate request. But we were, even on Christmas Eve, I was working on getting consumers and representatives and ANC commissioners signing an affidavit about their testimony, just once again trying to get the commission to reject the People's Counsel herself, Sandra Matavu-Fry, has had some of the strongest language I've ever heard her use in press releases about this rate increase. She's just wholly against it. And so we are hopeful that the commission will do the right thing for consumers and reject it. But that's where we are with that now. We will have another fight coming up about the Washington gas rate case, and I'd be happy to come back at a later meeting and discuss that as well. It's been a year.
All right, thank you. Commissioner, do you want to go to the questions? I'm sorry, do any other commissioners have questions? I didn't see any other hands. Going once, going twice. Okay. Would you please go to the questions in the chat or Q&A, please?
I'm going to go to the Q&A first. Stephen, you answered this in the Q&A, but I'm going to ask it again out loud for people who are on the phone. Ron Griffin wants to know, why isn't water and sewer under your agency?
So I'm happy to report it is. The DC Water is not regulated by the Public Service Commission. Many of you may recall the CREAC fee, that stands for the Clean Rivers Impervious Area Charge, that was recently put on to all of our DC water bills. And that was a shocker to a lot of us who don't usually read the bills. And the increase was dramatic. So the DC Council passed legislation that did bring DC Water into our authority. So we do advocate on behalf of consumers of DC Water. So we hired staff a little over a year ago, and we've been working hard ever since. So if you have a DC Water issue, absolutely 100% reach out to us. They are very hardworking individuals, and they're nice people too. So they're happy to help out.
All right, next question in the chat. Are either one of you, are undocumented people eligible for LIHEAP or other energy assistance programs?
That's a good question. In terms of the LIHEAP application, it's more concerned with household income. So I think to the extent that an undocumented person is willing to disclose where they live and who they are and how much money they make, I don't think they would encounter any difficulty in receiving the benefit.
And I'll just add to that, reach out to our office. We can give you some guidance on that. I don't know off the top of my head, but I do know that you need identification cards of some sort for the LIHEAP process. And you need that information for everyone in your household because it is based on household size. So definitely reach out to my office and we can get that information for you.
Another one from the chat. Does OPC assist small business owners having issues or disputes with utility companies? This is from Gabriele Masi of Uptown Main Street.
Yes, absolutely. So we have recently really taken this on. And one of my coworkers is now the lead on that sort of topic. So if you have a small business issue, please, micro and small business, reach out to our office. I'd be happy to get you in touch with them.
Chair Brooks, I see
Wonderful.
no further questions in the Q&A or the chat.
Okay, well, thank both of you for coming. I appreciate the presentation and look forward to having you again in a future meeting.
Hey, Madam Chair, would you mind if I asked one question with the last minute we have?
Go ahead.
The Baltimore Sun reported that the Maryland Public Service Commission hasn't been holding Exelon/Pepco to the merger conditions they agreed to before that Public Service Commission. And the chairman of that commission said essentially they don't have the staff to police the merger conditions. Does DCPSC have staff to hold Pepco and Exelon to the conditions that you all put on them when they merged a few years ago?
Yeah, we do. And we have in our website, which again, I'll put in the chat, we have a merger commitment tracker that shows how they're keeping up with that. So I'll put our website and you can just look for that.
And I'll just add briefly, that's our job as your consumer advocate. And we also have a section on our website. It's on the main crawler, so you can see it right there. And I just want to again invite everyone to follow us on social media. And if you're typing about it on the listservs, I probably read it. So by all means, reach out to OPC.
Again, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next presentation is from Pepco. Gordon, if you could bring up Mr. Culpepper as well as Pat Burke, Rick Sosa, James Pittman, excuse me. While we're waiting for everyone to get on the screen, I did receive a message from Derek Staten with MPD. He's having technical difficulties, which is why he was not available when we were looking for him earlier. If anyone had a specific question for MPD, if you can reach out to your ANC commissioner or to me, I'll be happy to give you the appropriate point of contact to get an answer to your question. And I'm sure they'll be back next month. Mr. Culpepper, are you ready to start?
Yes, I am ready to start. Let's see here.
Happy
Can you
New
guys
Year.
see me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, good afternoon. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for allowing Pepco to come before you to talk and give you an update about the Capital Grid project that's taking place in your area. And joining me, I do have representatives from our contractors, Mr. Pat Burke, as well as Rick Sosa, and then my colleague, Mr. James Pittman, as well, who will be assisting me very briefly with this presentation. So we're just here to talk, give you an update on the Capital Grid project. As you all know, construction has been taking place along Eastern Avenue, Riggs Road, 6th Street, and then of course on at the intersection of Missouri and North Capitol Street as well. So just here to give you an update on the upcoming construction that will take place throughout the rest of the spring and going into the summer and late fall. But before I do that, wanted to let everybody know that, of course, with this being COVID, we are definitely as a company very much so taking the COVID pandemic very seriously, and we put in safety precautions that are protocols that are advised by Center of Disease Control, World Health Organization, and OSHA as well as we complete this very critical work. So this is very foremost for the for our crews and folks working in public space is to adhere to these safety guidelines, and safety is our top priority as we continue this critical project. Just to give you a brief overview for those who may not be aware, the Capital Grid project is a multi-phase, a multi-purpose project that involves us building a network system, which is currently what you're experiencing now, the construction of the transmission line, as well as constructing a new substation and upgrading and aged infrastructure. And this is really a forward-looking plan, very much so different from our reliability plan projects. This is a very forward-looking plan to ensure that our grid is it's sized for the future needs of our residents and customers throughout the entire Pepco region. As you can see, part of this project does involve us building the transmission line that will connect the substations that we're either upgrading or installing. And what you see right here is a map of the transmission line, and it's broken down into 4 sections. The section that is most in red here is where the ANC is mostly impacted. We're actually upgrading the Tacoma substation as part of this project and building a 10-mile transmission line that will start at the Tacoma substation and then subsequently end at the waterfront substation in Southwest DC. Again, we have aging infrastructure that's part of this project, but what you would probably be more interested in is the Tacoma substation, which is just on the in the state of Maryland, right on Eastern and New Hampshire Avenue. That's the substation that we're upgrading as part of this project, and it mostly serves residents in this ANC as well as Tacoma Park, Maryland. It was built in 1932, and we're upgrading it, which will increase the capacity. And by us upgrading, we're adding new equipment that will be allow the substation to continue to operate for many, many years to come. What you see also are the 3 other substations in the District of Columbia that we're upgrading as part of this project, and they're located in Ward 1. And for the construction update, I will turn it over to Mr. Pat Burke, who's with DCI Mead. They are the crew and the company that is actually doing the construction in public space, and they're going to give you an update on what's actually taking place as far as the construction schedule. So Pat.
Yeah, Travorce, and thanks, Commissioner. This is Pat Burke with DCI Mead. We've got a 4-mile stretch here that we're putting in 20 manholes and a big conduit package is going to connect 2 substations, both Harvard and Tacoma. So at any given time, we can have 100 to 400 linear feet of open trench. At the end of every day, we'll get all of our machines and equipment out of there and then secure the steel roads or secure the roads with steel plates. Our trenches are anywhere from 5 to 20 feet deep. We pin, use cold patch, and then recess the steel plates on a daily basis. And we also use horse pads to help limit the amount of noise. And if we ever have any problems with noise, always ask our crew members. You can always approach our foreman, and then they can always give you my information too. And we'll do everything we can to keep that steel plate noise as quiet as possible. Our permit time is from 9:30 to 3:30, and our guys have been doing a pretty good job of staying within that time frame. We have 6 manholes in this section, 4 on Riggs Road that have been completed. We just finished one on Eastern Avenue the 15th last Friday. And then our last one on Eastern Avenue is going in the 29th, where we get the crane out there at 61 Eastern Avenue. So that will be the 29th, where we'll have all manholes in that section completed. Let's see here. Traffic control will be set up at each of our locations. We'll have plenty of signs out there. We have a third-party traffic control company. So you'll see DCI and Meade crews out there, as well as our third-party traffic control company, making sure the traffic's flowing to the approved traffic control plans that DDOT issues us. So we'll try and make sure that traffic's flowing as good as possible. And even at that North Capitol, Missouri and Riggs intersection, we'll have traffic control officers from DDOT out there directing those intersections to try and get that traffic moving as quickly as possible. Can you go 2 more slides for me? It'll be a good visual. Yeah, this one right here is good. So real quick, a visual kind of this area. All of the green you see there is where we've completed to temporary restoration. Once we connect manhole to manhole, we get a third party out there to actually do the final restoration and paving. Anywhere you see the blue is where we're working to next. And then the actual yellow is where we haven't gotten to yet, over by that Walmart and on that Riggs Road over there. But gives a visual there. We're probably looking at anywhere from, I would say by year end, we'll be done with this entire stretch. Final paving might go into the start of 22, but we should be done with this entire section, I would think, by year end.
I'm sorry. This is Commissioner Tiffany Johnson.
Can we wait until they finish their presentation for questions?
Of course.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Pat. And just to let you guys know, we have had several meetings in the area, as many of you all know. We met with the Mount Riggs Civic Association as well as the ANC many times, and have executed many meetings as well, and we'll continue to do so. Part of our enhanced outreach, we do have an interactive map which shows all the construction that's taking place in approximate timelines. And we've also established office hours with our community relations coordinator. Many of you may know her, Ms. Ann Walter. She's also on the line as well. And then, of course, we are coordinating with DDOT and also other utilities as much as we can. We do hold bi-monthly meetings, with DDOT on a regular basis, specifically for this project. Again, as Pat said, part of our road restoration efforts does involve us coordinating with DDOT, and we have done that on many of their projects. And we look forward to coordinating with other developers, particularly the one that's across from Walmart, as well as with the businesses as well. And so we'll continue to do that and coordinate with DDOT as well as the other utilities as part of our effort to coordinate. And then last but not least, we're short on time here, but we do have a stakeholder outreach commitment to make sure that we are following up with you if you have any questions. We do have a dedicated phone number for this project, which is 1-833-227-4743, as well as a website specifically for the project, and then also a dedicated email address, capitalgrid@pepco.com. And as I mentioned before, there is a community relations coordinator specifically for this section, specifically for you. If you have any questions regarding the project and then any concerns, we definitely want to hear from you. Please contact Ms. Ann Walters at 202-680-8255. 8533. And then her email address is ann@robinsonpr.com as well. So there are many opportunities to meet with her or talk with her to address any concerns that you have regarding the project in your area. And thank you, and happy to take any questions at this time.
Okay, let me start with Commissioner Tiffany Johnson, and then I'll reach all the commissioners.
All right, Commissioner Johnson.
Hello, I just had one quick question. So you were talking about the work that is to be done. What is the actual time frame for that?
Pat, did you want to take that?
Yeah. Nope. You
is there-
you just scrolled past it. Yeah. So the blue lines mean that that's work to be completed?
Correct. That's working that we're going to be going to in the next month or so, where the orange is actually under construction currently. And then the green,
And
what's
how-
been,
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead and finish.
I was just going to say that the green is what's actually been completed. And then the orange is where construction's underway. And then any of the blue you see is where our construction crews are working towards.
So how long, what's the time frame for that?
Which specific area?
In the blue area? Oh, okay, I see. All right, thank you very much.
Okay. Evan, did I see you? Did you reach out? Go ahead.
I had two really quick questions. One is, how does this interact with the construction for the Tacoma to Sligo project? And because a lot that had considerable construction on Eastern Avenue as well. Has that all been resolved, or are you running the two projects simultaneously?
And I could take that question. I know a lot of what we have done with the Tacoma to Sligo project, particularly along Eastern and New Hampshire, has been complete. I know it was a lot of work that took place, particularly last year, but we were starting, that work is still going on along Eastern Avenue further down the street. So yes, we are working at the, doing these projects both at the same time.
Do you have a timeline at all on the Tacoma to Sligo completion, like the Carroll Avenue, Cedar Street, Eastern Avenue portion?
Yes. That should be complete late this spring. I know that we did run into some issues where we were coordinating with Washington Gas as well as DC Water, and then we're also coordinating with DDOT with their Metropolitan Bike Trail that's going to be starting very soon. So we are looking to be done hopefully by this spring and complete.
And then real quick, the other question I had for you, Trevoris, was the utility disconnection moratorium. There was a bill that was put forward to stop it, and I was curious if PEPCO had lobbied to end the moratorium or not.
And I don't, I will defer to Mr. James Pittman if you're on. Did you want to take that or?
Absolutely. So, hi, my name is James Pittman. I recently joined PEPCO last year. I'm the Vice President of the District of Columbia region of PEPCO. With regards to your question about the moratorium, no, we did not lobby the council to end the moratorium. That came to us, I think, from Chairman Mendelson, put forward an emergency bill, I believe it's in December, to move forward with that. So that's how it came to our attention as well. We do appreciate that that there is concern about the moratorium and how long it will go, and some of those things that were mentioned earlier by OPC and from Public Service Commission. And one of the things that I did want to bring up, if you don't mind, Chair Brooks, is that Commissioner Palmer asked a very important question regarding the multi-year rate plan. There is, I think, a lot of misconceptions about that plan. Included in that plan are actually a whole list of new ratepayer assistance that we're trying to put into effect for folks to help combat what you see a lot of in the pandemic. So I would respectfully request, if at all possible, we would love to come back to this commission at some point in the future with some of the regulators just to talk about what exactly is in the multi-year rate plan and answer some of those questions a little bit more in depth. So
You're more than welcome to do that.
Greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Yep.
Are there any other questions from commissioners?
Well, I have a comment. I know that when you did the initial work on Riggs Road in the 400 block, we had the EYA project going on simultaneously. Now we have the library, there's the K Fritz building, and in Allison's SMD will be Chick-fil-A. So what happened was that I think the coordination needs to be synced because trucks were coming into the communities. That was one big concern. And so since we're going to have 5 projects going on, I don't know when Allison starts, but we have at least 3
coming
right
soon.
now. So we have 3 going on currently. And so it's impacting the residents because the streets are blocked, and then you've got the contractors taking a shortcut instead of going the prescribed route, which was Riggs Road to Eastern to Sargent to Gallatin and back up South Dakota. So we want to make sure that the residents know. So we'll probably call a meeting for you to come out. And the other concern residents have is that it took well over 10 years to get Riggs Road repaved. Riggs Road was in really bad disrepair. And so some residents are saying, well, you're digging it up. I know I've talked to Ann about it. She said it'll go back, but you know, we got brand new streets. So we just don't want to go back to any patchwork. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I was going to go last, but I was going to talk about the similar comments in that we have large trucks driving down First Street coming off of Riggs Road, and they're damaging vehicles. And I'm not suggesting that those are your trucks, but we have a concern that once this construction gets started on Riggs Road, that's going to happen and it's going to be a problem for residents. Also, right now with the pandemic, it's not as much of an issue, but DC Bilingual is directly across the street in the basically 100 block of Riggs Road. There's already traffic problems with students getting across the street. There are no crossing guards at the intersection of First and Riggs Road. And I want to know how you plan to address those concerns with students when they go back to school. If you're going to be there for, a year, roughly, I'm hoping to come out the basement and kids will go back to school. And, we need to ensure their safety when they're attempting to cross the street.
Yes, ma'am. And, Commissioner Brooks, thank you very much for that question. Before we started the project, we identified all of the schools that are along the transmission line route. So we've already met with DC Land School as well as the school that's right by LaSalle. So we've already met with those schools, heard their concerns, and they did share with us that, of course, the drop off and pickup times. And so right now, what we're doing is, going back to seeing what their expected capacity will be as schools reopen. And then, we have committed to making adjustments to our start times to, address just what you're talking about to ensure the safety of students. So we are just going back. And then just to answer your question, I wanted to follow up as far as what you're talking about, the development with EYA, as well as, the development with Walmart and then the Chick-fil-A that's coming. We have been in touch with the SID about hosting yet another meeting with those businesses just to make sure that we're coordinating. We've already, been in touch with EYA about coordination as well. We've had one meeting and then we'll follow up with another. But we won't, from my understanding, Pat, you can correct me if I'm wrong, start construction in that area in April, which will give us enough time to have better coordination. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. We're looking to get into that Walmart area around April. EYA needs to connect into a storm sewer that's right on Riggs Road there. So we'll coordinate with them to make sure that they get what they need to get accomplished. And we'll work together to make sure the traffic still flows well. And then we'll get them in and out. And then we'll be working along Riggs Road there, right by the Walmart, starting in April.
Right. And just for your And also just address another issue about the road restoration. We are definitely committed to ensuring that the road is restored to its original condition, if not better. So we are committed to doing that, and will not leave it patched. It will be a smooth surface, and we have been, talking with DDOT as well. And they're definitely much so our partners with this project. So they're very much aware of when we'll start restoration. But we are definitely committed to doing that, and we'll make sure that we restore that road to the community. And many of you all know me very well, been at the ANC many times. If there's ever an issue, please give me a call. I'm very responsive. I will pick up the phone and answer. It doesn't matter what time it is, or we'll respond. And so we definitely want to hear any feedback that you have, and we will, take that very seriously and work to work with you all on this project. And just thank you for your patience and working with us.
Jocelyn, you're on mute.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I do want to piggyback. I wasn't going to say anything, but to speak to Mr. Culpepper's comments. I remember when Eastern Avenue was just an obstacle course, and oh my God, I thought that this was like the nightmare that just never would end. And even though it does seem like this project will never end, the thing that really is good, and I will give it your props, you do leave the streets so much better. It's wherever you all are working, the streets are nothing like they used to be back in the day. So I just want to give you an attaboy for that, because it used to be like they didn't give two dead flies about people who lived in the area, the cars, the conditions of the street, what you did to the cars. It's nothing like that anymore. So you all do put a lot of care in it, and I want to give that.
Thank you very much. That's our commitment to you all. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to the questions in the chat and the Q&A.
Chair Brooks, there's one question in the Q&A. Ron Griffin. I have a home on Gresham Place where PEPCO did a lot of community outreach. I attended 2 meetings and have a contact person to call with any concerns. I live in the corner of New Hampshire and Rittenhouse and have no information who to call, what's going on up there. I see people taking measurements on 3rd Street and I get no information about what is planned on 3rd Street Northeast.
So that's my SMD, and Mr. Culpepper, I'll let you go first, but my understanding is that's WASA and not PEPCO.
That's correct. That's not PEPCO.
Right, that project, what's going on 3rd Street is not related to the Capital Grid project at all. And Ms. Griffin, I can give you a call tomorrow and sort of fill you in and get your questions with regard to what WASA is doing now. They're doing sewer work, is my understanding. Okay, well, thank you. Mr. Culpepper, I put a note in the chat. If you could send me a copy of the presentation, I would really appreciate it.
No problem. I definitely will do that.
Okay, thank you so much. So for those of you that are still here with us, I appreciate that it's 9 o'clock. We are in the home stretch of the meeting. We're gonna now get to the consent calendar. And again, thank you for your patience. I know the January meetings can be long with all of the technical things that we have to get done in the front of the meeting. So I'm going to read the items on the consent calendar and then we'll go from there. We have 2 resolutions and a letter of inquiry. So resolution 4B 21-0101 is supporting the construction of the Metro Branch Trail in the 7100 block of Eastern Avenue. Commissioner Yates. Resolution 4B 21-0102 calling for adjustments to scheduling of hearings by the Board of Zoning Adjustments to facilitate public participation. Commissioner Tiffany Johnson. And letter of inquiry ensuring adequate resources for successful advisory neighborhood commissions. Commissioner Brooks and Commissioner Palmer. Is there a motion to accept the consent calendar as presented?
So move.
If there's no objection, the consent calendar items will be adopted. There being no, are there any objections? We said no, so moved. Okay. Then these items are adopted. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. I should say aye for myself. Next on the agenda is Resolution 4B21-0103. It's supporting renaming the park in the 6100 block of North Dakota Avenue Northwest as the Ron Austin Memorial Park. Commissioner Johnson and Commissioner Brooks. Commissioner Johnson, would you like to present? She must have stepped away, so I will speak to this, and hopefully she'll come back in a second. Ron Austin was a staple in 4B. He actually resided on North Dakota Avenue. He represented the South Manor Neighborhood Association for nearly 20 years as the president. He also served on this commission as a commissioner and chaired the commission during his tenure. Unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago. And prior to the end of the last term, I guess it's a resolution was brought forth by former council member Todd to have the park at the 6100 block of North Dakota Avenue renamed in his honor. Because it has yet to come up, we wanted to take this opportunity to support that idea. And I'm not sure if any of his family members are here. If they are on the meeting, if you could let me know, we can bring you up. Also, if you wanted to. And if anyone has a question, comment, now is your chance to speak. Any questions from the audience? Okay, then in that case.
Hold on, we have one person, Ashley.
Hi, Ashley.
Hi, Allison. Ashley Sanders, just calling from the South Manor Neighborhood Association. Our executive group has agreed that we would like to strongly endorse this measure.
Thank you. Okay.
From the chat,
go ahead.
Andre Carly says, I am in full support of this resolution.
Yeah, and in full disclosure, I should say that Mr. Carly submitted an email making us aware of his support that we can, submit for the record. But thank you for letting us know that now, Mr. Carly. Okay, is there a motion on the floor to accept the resolution as written?
I'll move.
Go ahead. Thank you. I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Any opposition? Any abstention?
I'm going to abstain.
Thank you. Did you get that, Aaron?
Let me just make sure. I just have one no vote and one abstention. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Did everyone vote?
We can take a roll call.
Yes, please do.
Okay. 4B01?
Thank you,
Aye.
Chair.
4B02?
Yes.
4B03? I can't hear you. You're on mute. Yes?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. 4B04?
No.
5 is vacant. 4B06 is Tiffany. I guess she's not back. 4B07?
I abstain.
4B08, yes. 4B09?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Leroy.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, let me just call the total. 1, 2, 3, 4 yes, 1 no, 1 abstention. So the motion carries.
Thank you. We'll move to the last item on the, I believe the last item, let me scroll down. Yes, the last item on the agenda is the resolution 4B210104, calling for fair and equitable elections procedures and improved mechanics to fill Advisory Neighborhood Commission vacancies. Commissioner Palmer.
Thank you, Commissioner Brooks. This resolution is in response to emergency legislation enacted by the council that precludes the ability to fill vacant advisory neighborhood commission seats during a public health emergency. I think at its inception, this limitation was rooted in the idea that the public health emergency wouldn't last as long as it has. And we have some anticipation that it will continue for some time. As mentioned earlier in the meeting, Advisory Neighborhood Commission 4B currently has a vacant seat. It is a seat that has been previously vacant. So it's a constituency that has gone without representation over periods of time for some time. Several other advisory neighborhood commissions currently have vacant seats. One of these other vacant seats is single member District 7F07, which consists primarily of residents at the DC jail. Just for context, that seat has been vacant since its inception in 2012. So in response to the inability to fill vacancies due to the public health emergency, the resolution calls for the DC Council, in coordination with the Board of Elections and the Office of Advisory Neighborhood Commissions, to eliminate that statutory language precluding the ability to fill vacant seats and develop clear and practicable procedures for filling commission vacancies during and after the COVID public health emergency. It also calls for dedicated supports necessary to fill the vacancy at 7F07, which is unique because it houses the DC jail. And just as an add-on, I was in a recent meeting with other commissioners who have worked on similar resolutions and council staff, and these offices, including the Office of ANCs, are working toward resolving this problem. So this resolution is timely and is an important support for the efforts that they're engaging in right now. That's it from me.
Are there any questions?
Yes, I have one. Commissioner Palmer, 7F07, how many commissioners are there?
In 7F?
Yes, 7F.
I can pull that up. One moment. It's 7 seats overall, with 7F07 being vacant.
Okay, so that leaves 6 seats. That's one. Okay. So my question is, okay, there are 6 seats that's filled. So that 1 seat is going to hold up what they're trying to do in 7F?
No, it's just a vacancy, but it's been a vacancy for the last decade.
Okay, so it's been a vacancy for this last for the last decade. Why over the last 10 years someone haven't ran?
Well, someone did run in the last election, and it was a resident at the DC jail whose voter registration address Ward 8, and so their voter registration address did not match the jail address, and the Board of Elections refused to certify that candidate. Before that, I don't believe anyone else has run, in part because they need specific information and supports to know how to run and how to serve and fulfill the duties of an advisory neighborhood commissioner.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Gloria. Commissioner
I have
Hart,
a
I'm sorry.
question. So you're saying that the inmates or residents at the jail are candidates for this position, correct?
They're eligible to be candidates, and they're what, right?
So the DC jail, are they housed for 2 years at that facility?
Not necessarily, and that's one of the challenges they have to grapple with, is that there are different lengths of residency at the DC jail.
So then their perimeters may be different, because I thought it's like a year that you're held in jail.
But there are not specific requirements for candidacy specific to that single member district. So as long as you are a resident, you're still eligible to run.
but you won't be there but a year. So then someone else will have to keep filling the seat. It's all.
Right, and the resolution does note that there needs to be specific supports to help, given the transitory nature of some of the residents and possible candidates.
Any other questions? No? Okay, I don't see anything in the chat or the Q&A. Do you, Evan?
No, Chair Brooks.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion for the resolution?
I'll motion the resolution and support it.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Any opposition? No?
Can
Any
I
abstain?
confirm that Tiffany is not here? Just Commissioner Tiffany Johnson, are you here? Just for the vote count. I'll say that.
Doesn't appear to be.
Okay.
Okay. Was there any opposition? I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Motion carries. At this point, there being no further business, the meeting is adjourned.
Woo!
I can't believe it. Girl. Before midnight.
Good night.
All right.
Good night.
Everyone have a lovely evening. I hope to see everybody next month.